The small diner buzzed with its usual morning chatter. Every day, the same lively atmosphere filled the space as people came in looking for a quick breakfast before the day picked up its hurried pace. And in the middle of it all was Sarah, a young woman with a bright smile and a warm presence. She moved between tables with practiced ease, greeting regulars, taking orders, and always pausing to ask a customer how their day was going. To the world, she was just another waitress, but to those who took a closer look, she was the heart of the diner. Sarah's story was anything but easy. At just 24, she was already shouldering responsibilities that weighed heavily on her young shoulders. Growing up in a low-income household had taught her the value of hard work early on, and when her family hit a rough patch after her father's passing, Sarah had stepped up without hesitation. She took on this waitressing job to help pay her family's bills and put herself through college. Every dollar she earned went towards supporting her younger siblings and her mother, who had fallen ill and couldn't work. The long hours, the occasional rude customer, the weight of financial stress, none of it managed to break her spirit. Sarah was known for her kindness and patience, qualities that made her stand out in a job that could often wear people down. She rarely complained, focusing on making things better for her family one step at a time. The diner door opens, and an elderly man, David, walks in. His clothes are worn and wrinkled, his hat is slightly askew, and his shoes are scuffed from what looks like years of use. He carries an old leather bag slung over his shoulder, and looks around the diner with a hint of uncertainty in his gaze. Sarah, approaching him with her signature smile. "Good morning, sir. Would you like a booth or a seat at the counter?" David, who looks to be in his late 60s or early 70s, pauses. His voice is soft yet steady. "David, a booth, if you don't mind." Sarah leads him to a window booth and sets down a menu in front of him, closing parenthesis, "Sarah, can I get you some coffee to start?" David, he looks at her with a hesitant expression before nodding, "Just coffee for now." "Thank you," as Sarah moves away to fetch his coffee. She can't shake the feeling that there's something peculiar about him. She knows most of the regulars who frequent the diner, and her intuition tells her he isn't from the area. The camera focuses on his quiet dignity despite his humble appearance. David's internal thoughts are shared via voiceover. What Sarah didn't know was that David was no ordinary customer. Beneath his worn-out clothes and quiet demeanor lay the truth. David was a millionaire. He had come here with a purpose. After years of watching people in his line of work put on faces and play games for money, David had become disillusioned with wealth and success. He wanted to know if kindness and genuine goodness could still be found even in those with very little. So he had set out on an unconventional experiment, to find a person who would show him kindness purely out of compassion. Sarah returns with his coffee. David looks up at her. "David, miss, may I ask for something a bit unusual?" Sarah, raising an eyebrow, intrigued of course. "Sir, what do you need?" "David." He gestures to his worn-out wallet. "The truth is, I don't have much money on me today. Would it be possible to get a small meal and pay later, if that's all right?" Inwardly, Sarah pauses. It wasn't typical for customers to ask for credit, especially in a small diner like this. But looking into his eyes, she saw not deceit, but a hint of vulnerability that struck a chord within her. She thought of her own struggles, and a smile appeared on her face. Sarah, warmly of course, "Sir, don't you worry about it. I'll bring you a warm meal on the house." A glimmer of surprise flashes in David's eyes. quickly replaced by a grateful nod. The camera zooms out as Sarah walks to the kitchen, glad that she could make even a small difference in someone's day. The scene ends with a close-up of David's face, now filled with admiration. The following day, David returns once again, donning his disguise, a tattered jacket, an old cap, and a scruffy, unshaven look. He sits in a secluded corner booth, where he can observe without drawing too much attention. David decided he wasn't done testing her just yet. He wanted to see how deeply this kindness ran. Moments later, Sarah notices him and approaches with her usual warm smile. "Sarah, good morning, sir." "Nice to see you again, David." Looking more reserved than he had the previous day, "Thank you." "Just coffee for now." As Sarah moves to get his coffee, a co-worker, Jessica, gives her a strange look. Jessica, whispering, "Why do you keep helping him, Sarah?" "You know he doesn't have money to pay you back," Sarah, simply smiling, her voice soft. "I don't do it expecting anything in return. I just think if you have the chance to make someone's day a little brighter, you should take it." David, who overheard from his booth, feels a mix of admiration and guilt. He watches as Sarah returns with his coffee. Closing parenthesis, Sarah. Gently, "Is there anything else I can get you today?" David, fidgeting slightly actually. "I was wondering if I could possibly get a small breakfast today. I don't really have enough money at the moment." Sarah's expression softens with empathy. She recalls her own life when a small gesture of generosity had meant the world to her, and she knows that today is her chance to give back. Sarah, "Oh, that's no problem at all. I'll take care of it. What would you like?" David's face registers a mixture of gratitude and surprise. The scene transitions to a shot of Sarah paying for his meal with her own tips, a small amount that for her represents hours of hard work. Her kindness was not a facade, nor was it motivated by recognition. It was innate, flowing naturally from a heart that cared deeply about others. Over the next few days, David continued to return, adding new layers to his humble appearance and making small, unusual requests: a glass of water and a piece of bread, or just a quiet place to rest his legs. Sarah's patience never wavered. She even gave him a few dollars from her tip jar when he claimed he needed to buy medicine, a sacrifice her co-workers criticized her for. A few days later, David enters the diner, but this time, he is impeccably dressed in a well-tailored, elegant suit. His demeanor is polished and confident. Sarah, busy refilling mugs, glances his way, but doesn't recognize him. Sarah, approaching him politely, "Good morning, sir. What can I get for you today?" David. He smiles gently actually. "Sarah, I believe we've already met." Sarah's brows knit in confusion as she studies him more closely. David continues, "David, I'm David, the man you've been helping every morning, the one you gave a meal to, a cup of coffee, and even some of your hard-earned tips." Sarah stands frozen, her expression a mixture of disbelief and shock. Her hand trembles as she holds her pen. Sarah, whispering, "You're him, but ... Why did you test me?" David, leaning forward, his voice low and sincere. "In my world, I've met countless people who are drawn to wealth and power. I've grown wary of kindness with strings attached. I wanted to find someone who could show genuine compassion because they expected anything in return, but because it was simply in their nature. And you, Sarah, you showed me that kindness still exists, even in places where life is hardest. The diner falls silent as all eyes turn to them. David continues, his voice filled with admiration. David, Sarah, you've reminded me of something I'd almost forgotten. That real wealth isn't about money. It's about compassion. You have a heart that gives freely, even when you don't have much to give. He reaches into his jacket and takes out a large envelope, placing it gently on the table. David. This is for you, Sarah. Inside is a check that will cover your student loans as well as all of your mother's medical bills. You don't have to worry about those burdens anymore. Tears well up in Sarah's eyes as she looks at the envelope, her hands shaking. But David isn't done. He places a second envelope on the table. David. And something else. I see so much potential in you. I'd like to offer you a job within my company. A role where you can grow, learn, and build a career that reflects the dedication you've shown here. Sarah is left speechless, a mixture of awe and gratitude on her face. The world around her seems to fade as she tries to grasp the enormity of his offer. Sarah, stammering, her voice choked with emotion. I don't know what to say. Thank you, David. Thank you so much, David. He gently places his hand on hers. You don't have to thank me. Sarah, you've earned this. This is just my way of saying thank you for showing me that true wealth lies in kindness and compassion. Sarah's new life. Shots of her family's joy and relief. A shot of her in a professional, new outfit, smiling confidently. Then, a final shot of her in a professional role, a drawing of a heart on her desk. From that day forward, Sarah's life was never the same. She embraced her new career, but she never forgot the lessons of that small diner. She continued to carry forward the kindness she had received, and she vowed to be a light for others, just as David had been for her in the end. It was not the wealth of a millionaire that changed Sarah's life. It was the simple, unwavering kindness of a poor waitress that changed his.